fourth graders, and welcome back. I'm Mrs. Lamondo here to bring you Lesson 5B of our New Hampshire unit in Social Studies. Last we left off, we were learning about the Gettysburg Address by President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. Let's pick up where we left off, talking about the Civil War and how Daniel Webster, one of our great statesmen, contributed. Daniel Webster helped to work out the Compromise of 1850, which allowed for different territories to decide for themselves whether they would have slaves or not. Webster did it to keep the South in the Union, but it didn't actually work. 11 years later, the South withdrew from the Union anyway, and the Civil War began. New Hampshire was firmly behind the Union cause. About 4,400 New Hampshire soldiers died in the Civil War. The Civil War brought a great deal of industry to New Hampshire. Textile factories were needed to produce uniforms, and leather factories produced shoes. Many of the factories were in small towns. The appearance of New Hampshire did not change a great deal, but it quickly became an industrial state. After the Civil War, New Hampshire remained industrial. Many of the farmers moved farther west. There was simply better land available in other parts of the country. It didn't make sense to stay and struggle with the rocky land of New Hampshire. New Hampshire actually lost population from 1860 to 1870. Many New Hampshire farms turned to forest. For some time then, New Hampshire was fairly quiet. It remained a manufacturing state with textile mills and leather manufacturing. Its population held steady, but it did not substantially grow. Did these mills look familiar? Let's talk about World War I and World War II in relation to New Hampshire. During World War I, Portsmouth boomed once again as a naval shipbuilding center. The textile mills turned out uniforms for war efforts. But during the 1920s and 1930s, the textile industry declined. There was another surge again with World War II, but this was not a permanent increase. After World War II, New Hampshire became increasingly urban. That means filled with cities. But many of its textile factories closed or moved south. Instead, other industries were developed around electronics and new technology. Space exploration. New Hampshire continues to contribute to the modern age. One person who contributed was Alan Shepard. He was born in New Hampshire and became the first American in space on May 5, 1961. Another important person from New Hampshire was schoolteacher Krista McAuliffe. She was chosen to go on the Challenger space shuttle with 7 astronauts to study space. Tragically, on January 28, 1986, the shuttle broke apart 73 seconds after liftoff. New Hampshire Today. Now New Hampshire is a part of a great technology circle that surrounds Boston. Many of the state's jobs are concentrated in towns to the south. That's where we live. Many people also prefer to live in New Hampshire and commute to Massachusetts. But New Hampshire people still have a mind of their own. There's no question that they will always be. So here's a picture of Rye Beach in Rye, New Hampshire. It was one of the original areas settled in our state. So let's look at New Hampshire today. hope that gives you a little better idea about what a beautiful state we truly live in. All right. Today, first you need to make sure that you're done with the Civil War reading passage and the Google form. Today, we only have one thing to add to our slideshow, but it might be a little bit tricky, so it's important that you listen, okay? So in Google Classroom, we're going to open up the doc that says New Hampshire slideshow lesson 5. It looks like this. So today on slide 9, we're going to put this entire table of events, our whole history of New Hampshire. So the way we have to do this is you're going to move your cursor above the table and you're going to click and drag it all the way down. Then you're going to hold down Control C. You're going to go to your slideshow. Now here's where it's going to get a little bit funny. You're going to click and then you're going to hold Control V. And it's going to copy and paste the entire table. You'll notice that it kind of is over things. It looks kind of messy. If I click on this old text box and it becomes blue, I can then press delete and delete that out of there. Then if I click on my timeline and it gets like a light blue around it and I get that kind of like T-looking arrow thing, I can kind of drag it over here. If I touch the sides or the corners, I can resize it to fit into my slide so it doesn't cover the words. This might be a little bit tricky for you. Sometimes students have a tough time and they copy and paste, but it doesn't show the table. It just shows the words and looks really messy. If you have any trouble, check in with your teacher. We are here to help you and walk you through how to do it. This is probably the trickiest thing that we will be copying and pasting throughout this slideshow. So again, if you're struggling with it, no worries. Check in with your teacher. We're here to help. All right, fourth graders, that is all for today. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.